This is produced by Modulation Studios. Be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to our podcast. You can reach us at modulationstudios@gmail.com, which is a production company. Oh, yeah, that's the outro then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome everybody to a new episode of We're Not Afraid of the Dark, the podcast where me and my brother Ben review. Well, you know it. Hopefully you've been subscribed to us for a few weeks now, right?
They can't answer you.
Yeah. Or you can ask me by email me at modulationstudios@gmail.com, which is the production company for this episode. I really need to get some answers from some of these people who made the show, Ben, and acted on this show. I want to know the truth behind this Assassin's Creed philosophy that we have.
You know, I'm actually, when we went out to take a break or whatever, I want to know some of these guys' bacon number.
You said bacon number?
Yeah, you know what a bacon number is, right?
No, I can't Google right now because the internet's down.
Okay.
I have a hard time making my show notes.
What a bacon number is, you take an actor or actress.
Oh, the 6th degree of separation from Kevin Bacon?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So I want to know what some of these guys' bacon number is. The most I've gotten is like a 2.
Plot twist, Kevin Bacon was a voice actor in one of the Assassin's Creed video games. So that'd be 1 for a lot of these people, right?
Depends on, well, shit, it might be 2. Depends on which one he worked on.
We have an episode here in Are You Afraid of the Dark? I can't remember if this happened previously where it was like that explicit, but where an object is the villain. Do you count the Lock episode? It's more spirit-based then.
I haven't been that way watched it yet, remember.
Or even season 1. Do you count the Cellar Demon and Tale of Dark Music? Or the pinball and the pinball wizard? Because that was Mr. Olsen in that episode, not the actual pinball game.
Right.
Yeah, but this is close to become...
Super Specs.
I bring that up because this being a literature episode, I want to read a passage real quick from a great American piece called Slimed, an Oral History of Nickelodeon's Golden Age. I mentioned the book before on this podcast. It's written by Mathew, Klickstein. It deals with the best era of Nickelodeon at the day because I grew up in that area. So did Ben's 80s, 90s Nickelodeon. It interviews a lot of people who worked on the shows back then, both actors, producers, directors, show creators, etc. And on page 34, there's a snippet by DJ McHale, the series creator of Are You Afraid of the Dark. It goes like this, Ben. That was the kind of thing that separated Are You Afraid of the Dark from a lot of other shows. A writer will come in and say he had an idea for something, maybe a haunted car that eats people. Okay, but who are the kids? It's when we're with those kids that we can find out about the haunted car. We had real kids with real interesting stories that intersected with whatever that spooky thing would be. How do you feel about that? He's basically tying in the kids with the story. Like, we can have all these stories about objects and stuff, but it's the kids' imagination that brings things to life.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was genius. I'm sorry. I'm looking up that the guy that plays Sardo.
Yeah, Mr. DeMont.
I'm looking up his bacon number right now.
All right, while you're on that, I'm going to start talking about this episode. I watched this a few weeks ago for the first time in a number of years, and I actually enjoyed it more when I just watched it a few minutes ago than previously. Did you remember this episode growing up?
I did. As soon as it started up and it was he was typing and, when they found it underneath the steps and all that, like, it all came back to me. I remembered it instantly.
Yeah, I remember some specific scenes, especially the ending and the shot of the graveyard and things like that. The episode starts out with Frank asking, where has Kiki been? And apparently she was running late. And she mentions that she has laryngitis. She has an old-ass typewriter with her that she says she found in the attic and is going to type her story on it. Now, my first question here, Ben, was why doesn't just she take a break and someone else tell a story that night?
Well, I mean, it was her turn and she typed it up.
Yeah, well, she does. I don't think she does this beforehand. She actually types as the stories go along, right? Because she's just passing off to Gary, who's going to read the story.
So she had already typed it.
Nah, possibly. Gary's reading from the paper here. It says, when the story is on paper, you can touch and feel it as ours can. Once it is written, it is no longer just the author's. It has a life of its own. and for some, it can be very dangerous. Then we're transported to inside the story, inside of a classroom. And Ben, I don't remember ever being in a classroom where the teacher's like blatantly eating as they're walking around the class. Do you?
No, and I also sleeping in class. She just kind of walks by him and doesn't care.
Do you think we have any listeners from Crystal High School?
I would hope so.
Yeah, well, I'll keep names out there because I remember there was this one teacher there who would heat his lunch up at his classroom. He had a bigger classroom, so it was like a microwave. And wherever he cooks, smelled like fucking shit every time because we would come back from lunch and like just stuck the whole fucking rib up. All right, Richard Dumont, who plays Sardell in a few episodes, has a bacon number of 2. I like how you can just Google this, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
That's like the Oracle of Bacon. Yeah. I'm going to email him in a few weeks, by the way.
Or Kevin Bacon?
No.
Sardell?
Yeah, I need Richard Dumont on here more than Kevin Bacon. What was Kevin Bacon on Are You Afraid of the Dark? Yeah, the teacher's eating right in front of a character named Billy. Ben, this is also the first episode where our main characters aren't just a bunch of generic white kids.
Yeah, they really diversified on this one.
You know, we have an Asian guy, we have an African American guy, and I'm assuming the girl is mixed, right?
Probably.
This is the first time we had a lead Asian character, right?
Yes.
In an actual story that I can think of. Not that I want to stereotype or anything, but it's been a little white bread here lately. We didn't have anybody who wasn't white in that last episode that we watched, which is the Tale of the 13th Floor. Right?
Yeah.
They state that Sean Hackett had one passion, but he also has a crush on a girl named Jennifer, but apparently she friend-zoned him.
Yeah.
These are also older teens in this episode. These kids are assuming like 16, 17, so probably seniors, when most of our other kids have been between the ages of about 10 and 14, I think. The teacher, Mrs. Dobbs, gives a assignment that is to write a short story, but it must be 2 pages long. But it should mean like double-spaced or single type. She doesn't give me any instructions. It barely give me anything.
College or wide roll.
Yeah, he chats with Jennifer Smalltail, and like the music playing there sounds like Kenny G synthesized. And I just saw Kenny G live a few weeks ago. He was playing at Epcot down in Disney World. It was like random. We're walking down there. They have like this music outdoor thing down there, and it's like Kenny G, 5:30. Kayla, we got to at least stay for 1 or 2 songs. And she didn't know anything about it. She didn't know it was like instrumental jazz music playing on soprano saxophone.
Oh, God.
And he's 60 years old now. He was holding notes out for like a minute or so, showing off. It sounded good, though. They go into a place that Sean's parents just bought. And I'm noticing of course, I have to talk about men's fashion here, Ben. He has like this yellow tie on top of this shirt that doesn't match, and he's wearing ties throughout this episode. Like, how many guys in high school did you see wear ties? We went to public school, by the way. We're not going to a place with a uniform.
None.
And what we think would happen if a guy did show up at high school wearing a tie? You think he had a court that afternoon or something like that, right? Billy goes in. This door has a danger sign written on it. Sean asks how he's supposed to get to his bedroom. Billy insists on going through. He goes through some steps and finds a new spot. Then Sean goes to find his Are You Afraid of the Dark flashlight. I just ordered that on eBay, Ben.
Did you bid on it or did you win it?
I didn't. I haven't checked the internet connection, but I'm pretty sure I won it. I found out it came as some type of subscription box thing for Nickelodeon. I'll mention that in a future episode. This flashlight's big that it comes back with, though. They find an old typewriter down there. And this place has like a bunch of old newspaper clippings on the wall, old photographs. Billy finds one that says missing author of October 13th, 1932, named James Ellington. He disappeared in 1939 and was found 1 year later murdered. Now, Ben, I thought it was so odd because this is never mentioned again. We don't have anything to put with the guy being murdered, who murdered him, and the typewriter. We do know he was an author, though.
And who was putting newspaper clippings down there?
It was him. It's assumed that... Oh, wait. Yeah, it's him missing, so that would not have been him. It would have been something else. Maybe a realtor or something. That piece puzzled together. Sean uses the typewriter down there, thinking it's cool, to write a story about the night of the school dance. the kids are rocking out to some horror-inspired dance music. And yeah, I've noticed a lot of these kids shows of the 80s and 90s. These kids always dance to instrumental music that's like really synthesized. Back then, they were probably requesting like Madonna, Michael Jackson, Prince, It Takes Two, shit like that. You know what I mean? Sean comes out dressed as a vampire. She's assumed to be some type of gypsy woman. Can I still say that word?
Gypsy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was offensive in some countries. He announces himself as Count Sean. And a slow dance comes on, which is another instrumental. It's mentioned in the voiceover that they dance for hours. And in between the shots, Jennifer seems to be having like a wet dream during this because she's smiling in her bed and all around. They say they go to a dark corridor, but they actually go like in the hallway.
To a locker room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says, well, fatal kiss, she'll be mine forever. Then his fangs are exposed, being the shock that he's a real vampire, I guess.
Yes.
She wakes up, and Sean wakes up as well, uses the clapper to turn the light off. When was the last time you used a clapper?
I've never used a clapper.
I think I saw one for sale like a Goodwill a while ago for like $5. I don't want to make them anymore.
I'm sure they do.
They're back in his room, and Billy and Sean are debating the situation about what we just wrote. Billy just kind of brushes it off a little bit. Sean says he's going to start working on the project for English class, and Billy says it's going to wait. He's reading a comic book at the time. Sean gets started, and then Billy decides it's a great time to take a nap out of nowhere. He types it, trapped by Sean Hackett. Mentions that Billy, I like how he just names the characters after people he knows all the time, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
it can't be anybody else.
Yeah.
It says it's going to search for the grave of Blind Paul. We talked about cemeteries before. I think kids in the 90s had this sick hobby of just going into random graveyards and hanging out for a bit. But there's always some
we did.
Yeah, there's always some legend. I like how right in front of me is Cemetery Records of Somerset County, Maryland. I was doing some research. There's a sign, right? There's always some legend about some type of haunted grave in some towns. Ours would be Luke's grave. And by the way, Tales of Somerset is the documentary I'm working on. It deals with that story. For more details, just go to facebook.com/Modulation Studios for information on there about that project. You know, I have to plug Modulation Studios.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything like 5 times. Yeah, I did that. In the graveyard, I did like this scene a lot, by the way. You could tell some of the tombstones are fake. Like they had to,
yeah,
of course. But I do like the scenery here because he's using the same flashlight that he just used, or Sean just used to go in there and find that typewriter. Billy didn't believe the stories about the graveyard being haunted, and then he finds a tombstone labeled "Here lies Blind Paul." So apparently that was his name even when he was alive. There's no date on there.
Yeah, no born or death. Just here lies Blind Paul.
Yeah, and that hurts for genealogy purposes. Sometimes like a Bible quote or what they did for a living on there. Depending on how much money they had. There's a lot of groaning in the background. Did you catch on that? So some ghostly groaning and stuff.
Yeah. Billy is pretty much just searching around the graveyard. It doesn't say what he's searching for, though, which...
He's searching for the
grave.
He finds it.
He finds it. All right, search is over. But I guess then he hears something around him and, does the classic, looks everywhere but behind him and then turns around and there's a cloaked figure, probably Blind Paul. And
I thought it was the Grim Reaper. Well, maybe Blind Paul is the Grim Reaper.
There you go. Figured it out.
Yeah, he falls into a grave that's already been dug and is in an old school, one of those wooden coffins that deteriorates.
Yes.
It slams shut and the soil starts going down. And that, as a kid, that was really scary.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But probably to this day, being buried alive, scary as shit.
Oh, yeah. Billy wakes up screaming. Sean realizes what he types comes true. Billy says he could terrorize with people and not tell anyone. He says, don't worry. He doesn't want to get locked up. I think he knows he'll get arrested if he can do some...
He'll get put in a psych ward.
Oh, yeah. But then he uses it to seduce Jennifer at first, but they're not cloud scene. This is the only part of the episode I had to pick on just because it's very, very early 90s effects. Yeah, they're in this cloud portion. There's a typewriter that comes out of nowhere. It's obviously green screened. Although he actually tells Jennifer that if it's true that she should call him when he wakes up.
Well, I mean, he could have really taken himself out of the friend zone. He kind of did, but, you know.
He waits for a few moments, and then his phone rings. And do you remember what that phone is shaped like?
It's a motorcycle.
Yeah. Do you remember back in the 90s?
The cheeseburger.
Yeah. You had all these phones back in your homes that were shaped with things. I mean, the famous Lux one, a cookie jar, a vase, a guitar, a drum set. Yeah, motorcycles, cars, you name it, it probably existed in some type of phone shape.
I want to say there was a Ninja Turtles mobile one.
Hey, if you find Are You Afraid of the Dark one, let me know. I'm surprised we don't see this more often with, like, cell phone cases. You know how you see some cell phone cases that have, like, pictures on them, but it's not, like, shaped like anything, usually.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're also...
I've seen some girls, like, walk around with some that are shaped like fruit, but it's, like, usually very minimal.
I've never seen that.
The next day in class, the clock strikes 3. Mrs. Dobbs says for the kids to turn the papers in. And
she looks more relieved
than
for it to be over with. Yeah.
He turns in the trap story, and he's wearing a tie again. Back at the house, Billy picks up the Halloween dance story and starts reading it out loud. The typewriter starts to glow, and Jennifer and Billy disappear. They're back.
Sean.
Sean. That's right. Back at the same story, and the music's the same. And that music there, that music's different. That music there sounds like the Pinball Wizard episode. Yeah, I think they use the same music. Now, she's scared or terrified of this vampire, but nowadays, like, these teenagers will love for this to happen, right?
Oh, yeah.
You find a hot guy at a dance and he turns to a vampire, they'd be all over that. This episode has the first on-screen kiss, by the way. Everything else in this series has been a cheek, or almost.
Oh, very well.
They then realize it's coming true when they come back because Billy stopped reading the story or something like that. But then they realize that Sean turned in his trap story to Mrs. Dobb earlier. She's reading part of it, but runs out of cake and goes to the cafeteria to try to find food. I love the setup of this cafeteria. They have the old school drink machine. She opens the fridge, she's like fruit, and then finds these like donuts and pastries that are just like not covered. They're just like out in their own trays.
I like how she takes a bite out of one that she doesn't take and leaves it there. Yeah. But not only that, she like mounds all these donuts and pastries and shit up on this little plate. She might as well just took the whole damn tray.
Do you think there's an issue of fat shaming here? I remember back in the 90s, you could make fun of like people who are overweight and get away with it. Nowadays, everybody think you're a bully.
Well, here's the thing. She knew the role. She knew the role she was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's fat shaming or anything like that, doesn't matter. She knew what she was going to have to do for that role. So I'm going to say no to fat shaming.
You can see the scene for every single overweight woman who was a guest on Married with Children with Al Bundy, just making fat jokes and sexist jokes nonstop. The kids who were in heavyweights for the fat camp, and Mike Bowers, who was the guy who played Donkey Lips on Salute Your Shorts, because they frequently made fun of his weight all the time. The kids get to the school where they see Mrs. Dobb parked illegally outside of it. She's going to town with these honey buns, by the way. She has like 3 of them on her tray.
Yeah. I like how she's exercising while eating it, and then she's in the bathroom taking a shit, reading the story, and the plate's on the floor.
Yeah, at that point, Billy's disappeared, and he's in the graveyard again. Yeah, I love that bathroom scene, though. That's what Miss Merrill was for me. I was thinking to myself, well, I'll tell you a story. I was in a middle school a few months ago for a work project, and I was going down the hall with one of the teachers, and it was like one of those in-between sessions. It was a middle school, so they were escorting kids to the bathroom. I remember they were young, and some kid had come out, and another kid comes out of the guy's room and says, "Ew, that kid's eating inside of there." Yeah, they're about to send me because I was the only adult male present going to get him. I was like, oh, he's going to come out eventually. But I was thinking, like, how many teachers do you think we had who did our work assignments and was taking a shit in the process?
Oh, God. I don't know how many are like do it there.
I know a few who did just because they always had to stay after work to do lessons plan and stuff. But yeah, they would mostly take that home. But I mean, Mrs. Dobb looks like a seasoned teacher, so she's probably got this routine down where she can get shit done faster.
Yeah, she gets shit done.
Billy runs into the black figure again and falls to the grave. I'm assuming he can't control his body because why wouldn't he just run away?
Well, yeah, I mean they have to act out the scenes. Like even in the Halloween dance or whatever, they knew what was going on. They knew what was going to happen, but they couldn't control it.
Sean then realizes while they brought the typewriter with them to the school, realizes with Jennifer that whatever he writes is going to come true. And he starts writing a new story. And that goes to a classic quote, Ben. 9% of writing is editing.
Very well.
I did like that scene with Mrs. Dobb working out with just the honey buds like right in her hoodie pocket.
In her pockets, yeah.
You know, it's funny, I work out a lot in nightclubs and I always ask security some funny stories. One security guard told me once that they have to go to girls' purses just to make sure they're not bringing anything illegal in. And some bouncer told me he went in some girl's purse and there was just like a bagel with a bunch of cream cheese just like right in there. Not aluminum foil or anything, just get all over everything. It's, what the hell? So maybe some of these people do have problems with eating. Jennifer reads the new version, which says the typewriter stopped glowing and all the stories never came true. Now, does this mean the murdered guy who owned it before is going to come back to life?
That's a good point.
Yeah, Billy comes back. Mrs. Dow comes back in and asks us if there's anything she could do for them. Is wondering why they're in her classroom. Maybe trying to steal something or get the test answers for something.
Or maybe find out insight, like what her opinion was on the story she was currently reading. But no, we're good.
A+, right?
Jesus.
There's more fat shader because she takes a bite of that like giant pastry.
Yes.
I mean, I think it has to be at least like, I don't know, 400, 500 calories. The kids actually have reactions this time. They don't declare it closed. They say, that was great. And Kiki is gone. Again, they're sitting in a circle. How did they not notice she was gone? She just leaves her typewriter right there.
I mean, they're just enthralled with the story.
Yeah, she leaves another story for her. She says the Headless Warrior hunts down each member of the Midnight Society. And the group looks worried. Gary doesn't even declare it closed. He just pours the water over the fire. Final thoughts, Ben?
This is another memorable one once you first start it. And like once you realize, like if you've seen it before, like this will definitely jog your memory. As soon as you get maybe 3 minutes into it, you'll remember it.
The plot itself has been recycled. This is borrowing from something else. Never seen it before.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think it was enjoyable, though.
Yeah. They're turning it on from season 1, that's for sure.
Yeah, that mid part of season 1 was pretty fucking terrible, but yeah, we're getting back into our groove here, definitely. We haven't found an episode in season 2 that we actually hated yet, and I do say yet.
Yeah, I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah, be prepared for it. Again, be sure to subscribe to us, leave us a review, all that good stuff. We'll see you next time.
Feel the mess, Houdini when we leave you in your casket, that's tragic. Peep me and my genie flying past it. I'm Aladdin getting blasted, blasting this rap shit. Plaster blacking out, talking smack with savage crackers. I'd rather be a jackass than average, I guess. I'm just established at that practice, like a master, no less, the best.